So recently I hosted a little hot cocoa Christmas party with a little Christmas hayride for a couple of my friends and our children and their families. And I wanted to talk a little bit about hosting, because this is something that challenges me, stretches me. It doesn't really come natural to me. It's something that I'm trying to work on because I know it is biblical to show biblical hospitality. It's mentioned in 1 Peter 4:9, offer hospitality to one another without grumbling. Again, in Romans 12:13, share with the Lord's people who are in need, practice hospitality. Acts 2:42 through 47 talks about worshiping together, having the Lord's Supper, sharing meals with great joy and generosity. All of this with a happy, humbled, pleasant heart. So this is something that, like I said, I am working towards getting better. In Proverbs 31, it talks about the Proverbs 31 woman opening her home to others quite frequently. So this is just something that is a learning curve for me, and I want to take y'all along little get together I was hosting, kind of show you some of the things that I am preparing, as well as give you a few tips for hosting that I have learned coming from a person who is not excellent at hosting. I wouldn't say like I'm bad at it. It's just, it doesn't come natural at it, and it's something that I am working on. So to start out, like I said, this was a hot cocoa party. So I was making some hot cocoa mix. This is just equal parts cocoa powder and coconut sugar. I did decide to sift it through a fine mesh strainer so that it would incorporate better when we mix it with the warm milk at the party, and this was really delicious. It took a little bit of playing around with to get the exact ratio of cocoa powder mix to milk, but it ended up being 1 tablespoon of this powder to 1 cup of milk, and then I just made it in double, triple batches for all the kids at the party. So this was really fun, just setting up a little hot cocoa bar. My kids have loved it. We've actually left it out on the counter since the party, and then we make hot cocoa every couple of days with my kids, and they just love the little reminder of Christmas and having the candy cane sitting out and the hot cocoa and the Christmas mug. So that was really fun. This is a recipe I've shared before. This is chocolate honey bites, I call them, but I'm adding pecans. We have some fresh pecans from a local farm that we need to get through and shell, but I'd never have time to sit down and shell pecans. It's something I need to work on as well. Harvesting and putting away crops is something that I'm also constantly working on, making the time for that. So I'm just preparing some pecans, chopping them finely, and then putting them in the little candy molds. And then I will pour the chocolate coconut oil mixture over it. I will actually link the video where I shared this exact recipe. If you want to watch it, I won't go through the whole thing here because it's the exact same recipe. All I did is add the addition of the pecans. So let's talk about the first tip for hosting that has helped me in the little bit of hosting I've done. So for tip number 1, plan at least a week or 2 in ahead. This is for the menu, what all I need to clean, activities, if I'm going to have activities for the event. Having all of that planned at least a week ahead of time makes me feel a lot less stressed. So I will have lists for groceries. I'll have lists for what I need to get cleaned that week ahead of time. I'll have lists for our food menu to go along with the groceries I'm going to buy. I'll have a separate list for activities I'm going to create. I had all of this in my phone, no notes in my phone for this party, for what I needed to plan for this Christmas event. Also, even down to what music I'm going to play, what playlists I'm going to play, to have that ambiance in the background for the guests who are coming over. Then we'll move into tip number 2. This goes right along with cleaning. This is cleaning little things up to the day before the party when I do like the bigger clean. So this is like making sure windows are wiped off, wiping down baseboards, organizing and decluttering any areas that are kind of going to be an eyesore. So in this case, it was our coat corner we just created because it is cold, getting cold here. So I had to kind of reorganize that coat corner. We'll take a break and talk about what I'm doing here now. I'm decorating our farm wagon. This was our farm wagon we had this summer for selling vegetables from our homestead, and we are going to have a little hayride on it. And this, I'm recording this after the fact of the party. This was such a hit. We just took some square bells, threw them on the wagon. I put this garland up with some little twinkle fairy lights. In the future, I would love to have a way to actually have actual Christmas lights, but we did not have an electrical source out here at this time, so I just had to use the battery operated fairy lights. Added some wreaths and some bows. The kids that were at the party loved this. The moms and the kids rode in the wagon, and the dads rode in the mule in the front. So this was such a fun little activity for the party. So back to tip number 2, cleaning things a little bit ahead of time. And then I do like the big whole house clean the day before. I try my best not to clean anything the day of the event, because I've done that in the past, and it really stresses me out because it seems to be the last thing I get to, and I'm focusing more on the food the day of, that I'll find myself cleaning like an hour before people are arriving, and then I'm gonna be all kind of sweaty and grungy looking, and you don't ever want to be that way for an event. So I try my best to get all the cleaning done that week ahead of time, the deeper cleaning a little bit at a time, and then the major like whole house, mopping the floors, cleaning the bathrooms the day before the party. We're back inside from decorating the farm wagon, and I'm just adding the second layer to the chocolate candies. I do create these in layers so that all of the flavors don't meld together. You have a chocolate layer on the bottom with the pecans, then a middle gooey honey texture, and then another chocolate layer on top. Again, I have a recipe on this that I will link below for you guys to check out the video where I share the exact recipe. All right, tip number 3, cooking foods the day before if you can. So in this case, I'm making these candies the day before because this was an easy thing to make ahead of time. If I'm making anything that can freeze, in the past I've made lasagna for birthday parties. I'll freeze that even a couple of days ahead of time. Just so I'm not preparing so much food on the day of. If it's some sort of dessert, a lot of that can be made ahead of time, a cake, a pie. Thinking what can you make ahead of time, at least the day before, is going to be so helpful in preparing for the actual day of the event and not rushing around trying to cook and prepare everything for the event on the day of the event. It has really helped me, just making me more relaxed and excited about the day and not so anxious about everything I need to get done the day of before the guests arrive. So I'm popping these out of the freezer now. They've been in there for about an hour, and then getting them on the nice platter. And I'll go ahead and tell y'all, I actually forgot to put these candies out for the party. There were so many other things I was working on. Completely forgot to put these out. They got shoved to the back of the fridge. So that's another tip I'm going to add here, is having a list of all the foods you're going to prepare that you need to set out the day of the party, because I normally do that. I'll write down I have this, 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 and this food to set out. I've even went so far as to label the platters where food is going to go. So if, like in this case, we had a potato soup and I had some condiments. So I even went as far as labeling with little sticky notes the bowls that were going to hold the cheese, that were going to hold the bacon, that were going to hold the sour cream. So I know what goes in those bowls, but I didn't label the chocolate plate because I'd already put the chocolates on here the day before and completely forgot to put them out for the party. Okay, before we finish up our tips, I want to show you this detox drink I've been drinking. If you've been following my journey, I had explant surgery about 6 weeks ago, and this is one of the detoxing drinks I have been drinking. This is a cranberry nettle tea, and it's made just how it sounds with cranberry juice. All I do is blend cranberries and a little bit of water in my blender and then strain out the pulp, and that's how I make cranberry juice. About a half cup of strong nettle tea. I do a nettle tea infusion in the fridge overnight, and about a teaspoon of honey, and then hot water to help mix the honey together. So this tea is really beneficial in detoxing and balancing hormones by helping the liver. If your liver is failing to detox properly, you're going to experience symptoms of estrogen detox, slower impaired thyroid, and hormone and digestion may be out of balance. So this is something, since I'm trying to detox from my implants for 7 years, this is something I'm adding every day to my routine. And I threw it in here because when you're preparing for an event, a lot of times we will forget to continue to nourish ourselves. So I made sure to still include my detox tea in here, and I want to share that recipe with y'all. That was the end of the day before the party. Now we're on the day of the party. So the day of the party, I'm just trying to prepare food. So here I'm putting together like our little snack board. I just had some charcuterie meats, prosciutto, salami, different types of cheese, pineapple, grapes, crackers, some pickles, just a basic snack board because I was preparing a potato soup, but I know some of the kids may not like that. And I'm actually breaking one of my rules right here because my next tip with y'all is going to be on the day of the event. event to get ready first. Now I'm actually preparing this about 4 hours before the people arrive. I actually like to get dressed in the clothes I'm wearing and just put on an apron, get my hair done. If I'm going to put on a little bit of makeup, do that earlier in the day so that if someone happens to show up early, I'm not just still in my get out of bed clothes. So again, that's my tip there, is to get ready earlier in the day. So if someone does happen to show up early and you're still putting together food or putting some things out, at least you're dressed and they can just watch you and chat with you while you finish your preparations and you're not in your loungewear clothes when they arrive. I knew none of my friends for this event were going to arrive early, but I know that oftentimes when I have family up for events, they're going to arrive early. So that's a rule I really try not to break, is getting ready early in the day so you aren't caught off guard if someone shows up early. I'm going to show y'all a little bit of the foods I'm preparing. So like I said, I prepared a potato soup. If you are trying to find some budget friendly foods to serve, you can always look to soups because they are very budget friendly for preparing for a larger crowd. Also making some homemade chocolate peppermint marshmallows. Half of them are chocolate peppermint, half of them are just regular for our hot chocolates. I have gotten dressed at this point, so I did not completely break that rule. And the kids are helping me with the marshmallows here, just really excited to taste test them. And they were just so excited about having the event for their friends and mine, my husband's friends as well. So just involving your kids in the whole process is another tip I have, because it teaches them to learn to enjoy hosting as well, hosting with a generous heart, showing hospitality to others and welcoming them into your home and serving them and preparing delicious things for them. It teaches them that even more so than just shoving them aside the whole time while you're preparing it. I've made that mistake before and just kind of sent my children away because I was so anxious and stressed trying to get things ready for the event. And that's why I'm sharing these tips, because the little bit of hosting I have done has taught me some of these things I'm sharing with you in this video and kept me from being stressed out and allowed me time to allow my kids to help and not feel like I'm pushing them away because I'm trying to do things all at the last minute. My last tip is to just enjoy the company, enjoy the event. This brings me to the story of Mary and Martha that is also common in the Bible, of being the Mary, enjoying your guests, sitting down with them, talking with them, visiting with them, and not being so worried and concerned about everything happening on the hosting side. You've put in the work beforehand to have everything ready for the event, have the food ready, have the house clean, have everything looking nice. You now can just sit back and relax and enjoy your company. Martha was so worried about working in the kitchen and getting everything ready and hosting and being a wonderful host, but she forgot the most important part of showing hospitality to Jesus in her home and sitting with him and talking with him as Mary did. So it always reminds me, that story, to be the Mary when I'm hosting and not the Martha. Put in the work ahead of time, the prep work ahead of time. Use these tips to help you plan for the hosting event, but when your guests arrive, sit back, relax, and enjoy them. So here are some clips of the final event before everyone arrives. Just our hot cocoa bar with our marshmallows, our Christmas cups, our candy canes, our snack board that my kids were getting into and pulling crackers and cheese off of because they were hungry, our potato soup and the condiments bar, and everything turned out wonderful. We had such a fun event. It was such a blessing. My friends and I talked about it several times, how much of a blessing it was to get together, to let our kids play, to enjoy each other's company, and just enjoy this holiday season. So I hope you're encouraged by seeing this video. Maybe host a little hot cocoa bar for you and your friends and your children if that sounds fun to you. And just remember how much of a ministry it can be to other people, to open your home to them, to feed them, to bless them, and to encourage them. You're having a wonderful and blessed Christmas season thus far, and I will talk to y'all in my next video.